and welcome to Grumpy Old Crone with me, Annie, where I will be whinging about things that don't matter very much in the pagan and witchcraft communities for about the next half an hour, give or take. Okay, so first of all, I've got to say, first of all, I'm not going to do witchy aesthetic meat and two potatoes and positive bits just because of the nature of what I'm doing today. So it's probably going to end up like witchy two potatoes or meat and two aesthetics or something. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, there's a whole lump of stuff gummed together today because there's something that's really been irritating me and I really want to talk about it today. So you lucky people, you're going to get the full force of this. And it isn't, weirdly enough, the fact that YouTube has managed to cancel my what I thought was a very innocent video about tarot, but no, apparently blurred pink painted boobs are a thing that really upset YouTube. So yeah, okay, that's a thing. They've both got slapped with 18 plus and demonetised because there was a small painted bit of a lady's upper chest involved in one of that. Just is ridiculous, isn't it? Utterly ridiculous. I mean, honestly, English people are meant to be like the most uptight people about this kind of stuff that there are, and even I couldn't see a problem in it, but you know, hey ho, on we go. But it kind of sets the mood for what I'm feeling today. So, okay, right, so there are two bits of the year when I feel that I'm about to be overcome by the ridiculously overblown anti-religious fervour, and we are in one right now. Now, anybody watching my videos from last year will have figured out that yes, one of them is Easter, and I am about to lose the will to stay sane at any moment, because we have entered that point of the year when a certain type of knuckle-dragging asshole forgets that they have absolutely zero idea what the inside of a church looks like, because they only ever go into one if there's a wedding or a funeral. But along comes Easter, and suddenly they all start clutching their pearls and getting incredibly up in arms about somehow they, and they never specify who this mysterious they is, but I imagine it's probably people who are guilty of being slightly brown, or people who don't like discriminating against people who are slightly brown, but they are stealing Easter. Right. The huge amount of evidence in favour of this viewpoint that they put over is generally a very slightly blurry picture of a supermarket that is selling Easter eggs, none of which have the word Easter on them. It is a veritable war on Easter, which is a nice change from the war on Christmas, which seems also to not happen every December as well. Now, you may or may not be aware that I am, in fact, a filthy apostate. I've spent quite a few years trying really hard to be a good Christian and failing spectacularly, mostly because of my deep and unavoidable abiding love of the earth and the goddess. And one of the very few points of commonality between Christian me and pagan me was and is my complete and utter contempt for people who claim to be Christian but can't be asked to go read the Bible, go to church, or even follow the most basic of the teachings of the Gospels. And in a move that will surprise absolutely nobody, I reckon that there's a huge correlation between this kind of ignorant bigot who cosplays being a Christian while understanding precisely nothing about the core teachings of the man Jesus, and people who shout really loudly about the fact that Easter eggs don't have the word Easter emblazed on them like they did in the good old days, whenever the heck that happened to have been. In the purposes of properly researching this video, I should say, it is a very properly researched video, I decided that I should have a little field trip to my local supermarket to vet the egg purchasing possibilities. I may have accidentally bought some Cadbury's cream eggs while I was there, but it was all in the pursuit of journalistic integrity, I promise you, and not because I really like Cadbury's cream eggs and they are now in my tummy. But still, moving on from that, my local shop is a co-op and it's quite small, so the options for religiously based confectionery purchasing are not huge, but they did have a bit of a selection for me to take photos of. So here are some photos of the evil, non-religious, egg-shaped chocolate which is available for all of you filthy atheists to buy.
We'll eat an egg, don't know where, don't know when.
As you will note, there are quite a lot of mentions of Easter on this packaging for a product that is obviously and actively attempting to overthrow Christian hegemony. I mean, a lot of mentions. In fact, there was only one, count it, one large egg on sale that did not have the word Easter on it somewhere in the packaging description. And that one was a fair trade egg that had really minimal packaging on it. So there wasn't really anywhere to print the word Easter, to be fair. But all of the rest of this stuff, all of the rest of it, well, the stuff designed to be given as gifts at Easter, it pretty much all had the word Easter on it somewhere. The only things which did not have the words Easter on them were the small bits which are not specifically designed to be given as Easter gifts and are on sale at times other than Easter. My beloved cream eggs, for example. You can buy those any time of the year, actually. So why brand them all Easter and then render them completely unsellable by the end of April? I mean, we've got things like lint bunnies, which are heavily advertised at Christmas as well. Although there was, as you will see here, a shelf display poster punting them as Easter bunnies. So hats off to Lindt for managing to both have their cake and eat it in terms of marketing. But things like mini eggs, cake bars and so forth, they're all sold year round. So it's bad business practice to market with a date that will mean you can't sell it after the date in question. If it's like a year round kind of a brand, right? Does that make sense to you? Makes sense to me. So I can hear people tutting out there right now. Well, maybe they have a little happy Easter written on them now, but it's not like back in the good old days when everything was marked as Easter eggs, is it? We're just pandering to that troublesome minority of atheists, Muslims, Jews, Hindus, agnostics, Zoroastrians, Baha'is, Jehovah's Witnesses, Sikhs, Jainists, Taoists, Shintoists, Confucianists, and all the countless other religions that form a major part of humanity's experience of the divine. We obviously live in an overwhelmingly Christian country, so that is how we should live today. Yeah, let's just ignore the fact that less than half of the population now consider themselves even tangentially Christian, shall we? Down from 56.3% in 2011 to 46.2% in 2021, and it's falling. I mean, my maths, dodgy as it is, says that that's like a 15 to 20% fall in a decade? I mean, I did some maths and it seemed to say that if this fall continues, we should expect to see that only 36% of the population of the UK in 2031 will consider themselves Christian. And if we're lucky, it'll be the ones who actually understand that the teachings of Jesus Christ were about love and forgiveness and helping one's fellow man. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? But okay, enough of the future. Let's look at the past, okay? In that way that those rose-tinted spectacle wearers want us to. Because I went hunting. It's not really hard to find promotional pictures of eggs from the 1970s and 80s, so I put together like a little slideshow for you. Shall we do a little bit of spot the thing that's missing from all of these pictures? Shall we? Let's have a look. What do you think? What can you see that could possibly be missing from the picture of these eggs from the good old days? If you said the word Easter, then congratulations, you win. Your prize is knowing that you have realised that the entire world is not biased against Christianity suddenly. Because it's really, really not. And if we're going to get onto religious existentialist anger about this bull rubbish, can we please look at that phrase, stealing Easter? Because I have so many opinions about that phrase. Nobody has stolen Easter. I guarantee there will be a church near you celebrating an Easter Mass or Eucharist this holiday. You won't have to hunt far to find a church doing that because there are a ton of churches in the UK. In Most places, really, let's be honest, wherever you live, I guarantee that there's probably a church very close to you. But you know what there's not a lot of? Pagan temples. And do you know why? Because the Christians literally stole them from us. This is like your narcissist ex-boyfriend accusing you of cheating because he's off knobbing every girl who'll say yes, regardless of her level of sobriety on a Friday night at the pub. They accuse us of stealing elements of their religion because that's literally what they did to us. Pope Gregory I is on record as telling the Augustinian missionaries to England to take over pagan temples, burn the representations of the gods and replace them with Christian ones. There's absolutely no point in burning down perfectly good buildings when you can just desecrate them and set up your own god in the place of the gods that these buildings were created for. And then when the people come to worship at the place that their families have worshipped in for hundreds and hundreds of years, you can just tell them that, well, I don't know, the new god's way better, and they'll just fall into step with that. And if they want to make a sacrifice to the gods, why don't we just let them? Then we can eat the burned sacrifice, because it'll be way more easy to convert them if they've got full tummies. And I'm not even bullshitting you about this. Just go and look up the letter from Pope Gregory I to the Augustinian missionaries. It's right there. It's a matter of public record. He literally said all of this stuff. Our traditional religion and our old ways were very literally stolen from us. Our gods were burned and replaced with Christian idols. Our temples were desecrated and our priests, well, no one actually knows what happens to the priests because that's not mentioned in any of the primary resources. We can only assume that at the very best they were thrown out of their homes and deprived of their livings. It's entirely possible that they were, like the Druids before them, slaughtered by the invaders. Our celebrations were overlaid with others, appropriating our sacrifices and the meaning behind them. And now they dare to say that non-Christians are stealing Easter because it's possible to buy one chocolate egg that does not feature the word Easter from a display featuring a dozen or more eggs that do say Easter. It's not enough for this kind of people to have almost everything that they want. What they want more than anything is for everyone else to have nothing. Their entire premise is based upon wanting to stop people worshipping anything other than the one triple God that they recognise. It's not enough for them to have everything they want everyone else to have nothing. And that makes me really, really angry. Can you tell? Can you tell? I'm quite cross. I'm going to have a cup of tea after I finish. But while we're going, right? Okay. So one of the biggest festivals, get-togethers of pagans in England is a thing called Witchfest, which up till this year has always been held in Croydon. Now, I've not been myself, but Mr. Grumpy Old Crone hails from Croydon, so knows it very well. And after many, many years of being at the same venue, this year it's had to move. Why? Because for the last few years, evangelical Christians have grouped outside the venue with loudhailers shouting at people entering, condemning them to hell, particularly targeting single women and children, screaming hate through a PA so loud that workshop participants inside the venue couldn't hear the speakers, telling children their parents were going to die and burn in hell, being really intimidating. I would ask you, what would happen if I and a group of friends were to stand outside a church on a Sunday morning with a huge loudspeaker preaching about how they were all murdering, bigoted arseholes, targeting little old ladies and telling them to accept our Lord and Saviour Canunus and all of his joyous fucking host, telling little kids that their parents were going to die and burn in hell for being hypocrites? Do you think I would be told that that was a perfectly acceptable protest and allowed to take place? No, I don't think I would. And if you think that I'm getting angry about this, then you're right. I'm getting very, 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 very angry about this because how dare these people claim victimhood when they have spent the last 2,000 years systematically destroying any religion that felt different to their own? And why? because the name of their festival is not printed on the packaging of every single chocolate egg in a shop. Because it would be just so wrong for a pagan child to have an egg at springtime, despite the fact that eggs are a really important symbol of spring and fecundity for pagans. Or maybe an atheist child. No atheist children are allowed chocolate eggs. We've got to bash you over the head with our own religion. Eggs are now deemed to be solely Christian. Sorry guys, no ovoid chocolate for Sikh kids. And let's not forget the people who are also stuck right in the middle of this huge bigoted of the thing. The perfectly nice, reasonable Christian people who don't scream hatred down megaphones, but just go around living their life in accordance with the teachings of a man who happened to say, wouldn't it be nice if we were just good to each other? I bet you know a few of them. I certainly do. They are the lovely people who didn't email hatred to me when I came out of the broom closet. They just pushed up their sleeves and continued to love me and tried to find points of commonality and understand what I believed and venerated, and just went out of their way to be excellent people. That's love, that is. That's the teaching of a man who said that we shouldn't cross the road but seek to help people who need us, regardless of what religion or race they are. We use the phrase Good Samaritan all the time, but how many of us, how many of them give any of time to remembering the story that went with it? I bet those outside Fairfield Hall in Croydon didn't think about that. They were too busy thinking about thou shalt not suffer a witch to live, despite the fact that scholars now admit that we really don't know what the translation of the word mekhashefa means. It could mean, according to a lot of different sources, it could mean witches, it could mean it could mean women that mutter underneath their breath. Literally. It could also mean poisoner, it could mean herbalist, or a number of any other things we just don't know. And unless we discover more texts from early Hebrew civilizations, it's very unlikely that we will ever know. Sorry, yes. It's getting a bit of a digression, I apologise. But there are some lovely Christians out there, and all of the loving, good works and generally being very nice people that they're doing is being completely spray painted over by these stupid bigots who claim that nobody but Christians should be allowed anything. Nobody else is allowed to publicly celebrate a religious festival at the same time as Christian festivals, lest it be decried as war on Christmas or some such bollocks. And that it's perfectly acceptable to shout hatred at small children in the street if they happen to be a different colour to you or their parents are pagans. I'm pretty sure this kind of person also shouts at Muslims, Jews, Hindus, etc. as well. Equal opportunity hatred for this kind of people. Woo. Yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of cross. I'm kind of tired of all of this evangelical rubbish. I don't have the energy to engage with it whenever I see it. Like many cities, my city has a few arseholes with sound systems that think they're going to leapfrog into heaven if they shout hatred at people on a Saturday morning. I have engaged. My children are generally horrified. Mr. Grumpy Old Crone backs me up because he's a splendid chap, but I'm sure he would rather be doing something else. But tragically, he married a mouthy pagan crone, so, sorry about that, love. But I don't have the emotional energy to shout back at these people every single time. I wish I did, but sometimes you just need to go home and watch Game of Thrones reruns and eat chocolate eggs, whatever's printed on the packaging of them, don't you? Yeah? Anyway. Next week, on Good Friday, I shall be eating some fruity buns with crosses on them. Sun cross buns, I think. Yeah, that's definitely them. Or maybe rifle target buns, or death buns, or my personal favourite, X-Men buns. You just have to hold them at like a 45-degree angle and they become an X-Man bun. I think that would probably be my favourite. But if I win the lottery, here's a promise to you, if I win the lottery, I have every intention of buying a church, burning their false idols and setting up a pagan worship centre. See how they like that? Arseholes. Anyway, sorry. I'm quite angry. It's been a difficult week, is all I can say. Anyway, right. Positive bit.
Here comes the positive bit.
Right. Okay. As you can probably tell, I'm not feeling very positive today. I need a holiday. I'm tired. I want to go to York, to the Jorvik Centre, and sing "My Mother Told Me" repeatedly on that stupid little ride they have until someone tells me to shut up. Whereupon I shall declare it is a war on Odin and claim there's not nearly enough blood involved in modern worship, not like the old days, and that England is a proud pagan nation that looks after its poor and needy, not like those Johnny-come-lately upstart Christian evangelicals who are only interested in booze and inappropriate relationships with young people and shouting about immigrants stealing their jobs. Immigrants! Immigrants! They're the immigrants! Bloody Anglo-Saxon upstarts coming over here stealing our women and our farms. Anyway, I'm going to go and lie down now. Sorry. Normal service will be resumed next week. God, I've got a headache now. Have a good week.